Good day, everybody! How are you today? Are you ready for the tactics? Because it's me again, International Master Sopiko Guramishvili, here for you on Chess 24. To do what? To solve the tactics. Today we're gonna have the tactics show, and if you're first watching this one and you have never watched it, I'll remind you what's going to be in the show. I'm gonna be here solving the tactics, so you will see how am I thinking, what moves are coming to my mind, the first and second, and you will also see what are the motives I'm using. Are there any strategies that I'm using to solve the tactics, or generally what is it up to? You can of course solve the tactics with me as well. I am able to read the chat, I'm able to read your comments, and I am able to get your help. So please be there, and we will soon start solving the tactics. Let's get started. I'm going to go on Chess24 website, and I'm going to push the learn button, tactics trainer, and start the classical trainer. That's it. I already have the first tactic, and there we are. I'm playing with white pieces. This is the position I'm playing with white pieces, and we have extra queen. No, we do have extra queen, but in two rooks, so it's not extra. Black has quite good compensation for it. Although, what is the problem in this position? So I'd like to remind you what kind of ideas and motives I'm using. There are sometimes the positions where I see right away what's going on. I see the mate or fork or any kind of double attack or whatsoever, and I don't need any analysis of the position. If I don't see that right away, then I'm starting to see what is the material situation in the position. Now I see that we have a queen, but it's not extra. It is black has two rooks for that, and if I'm not going to use it, it's quite dangerous because black has also two bishops versus two knights. So the only advantage in this position, which I think, is that black king's bad position, which means that we have to be very fast and we have to use the motives of mate, or we should win something in this position. So let's see what kind of moves we have. If I don't see the obvious moves, then I'm using the candidate move strategy, which is very helpful because you look at the board, the whole board, and nothing can escape. The first move that is coming to my mind is queen h4. On queen h4, the only move that black can play is, I think, king g7. And after king g7, what can we play? How can we win this position? This is the first question. Second question is, for example, I see the motive of queen check to f6, let's say queen h4, king g7, knight h5 check, and if g takes h5, then queen f6, king g8, and knight e7 mate. But the problem is that after queen h4 and king g7, if knight h5, I don't want to give knight e8 check, obviously, because rook e8, and then he will sacrifice the rook in the knight. So knight h5, the thing is that he can go king g8, but then I have knight e7, king h8, and queen f6 anyway. So queen h4, I think, is winning in this position. And not queen f6, but first check on e7, then queen f6, and then mate. Beautiful, very beautiful. This position shows how powerful two knights can be, two knight and a queen can be versus the king. And once again, I want to pay attention at the ideas and motives, what was happening in this position. So why did we play this move queen h4? Because the bishop is hanging right now. It cannot go because the h pawn is hanging, and after queen h7 is mate. Any other moves like rook fc8 with the idea of rook c1 mate would not work, because we would take the bishop on h6 and c1 square would be defended. Unfortunately, in this tactic solving mode, I cannot show you all the moves, but if we go to analysis tab, we will of course see all the moves. But in any case, let's do it blindfold. Queen h4, and what other moves are there? Like rook d8 with the idea to take this knight on d5 is not possible, because after queen h6 we have a very, very big threat, the mate on h7. So after king g7, knight h5, this was the idea, because the mating net is there, knight e7 and queen f6. This is just because the rook is on f8 and there is a mate. So king g8, once again g takes h5, queen f6, king g8 and knight e7 is mate. And if this, then knight e7, king h8, queen f6 and a beautiful mate on g7. Let's see what's going on in the chat. If you're also solving the puzzles, I see that you guys also saw queen h4 and queen h4 is winning. There is a question if I can speak out the variations just a little bit slower. Difficult to hear and move in the mind at this tempo just a little bit. Okay, sorry for this. I'll slow down a bit. And yeah, just for the long variations he's saying, so I'll just slow down a bit and try to find the perfect tempo so that you all can understand. Okay, let's go now to next puzzle, and the next puzzle, oh my goodness, there are 3 queens on the board. Black just promoted, so a1 queen was the last move, and he has 2 queens. So if there is no mate, then we are in a big trouble. Where can be the mate? Now I see the mating net of queen h6, g takes h6, rook f6, king g7, bishop h6, king g8, and rook f8 mate. I think this is very forced, so let me first make it on the board, and later I will explain the position and the ideas. So a1 queen, very logical. And how did I get to the queen h6 idea? What it is that made me to think that there should be a mating net? First of all, when we allow our opponent to promote and have 2 queens on the board, then we really have to have a forced line in our mind. This made me to think of mating net, and how the mating net would occur is that, for example, my first idea was to take rook f6, g takes f6 and queen h6. First, I didn't see queen h6 right away. My first, the very first move that came to my mind was rook f6, g takes f6 and queen h6. But then I saw that the king can escape, so king f7, and it's not possible that there is mate, because we have just a queen and a bishop. So with this idea, I got another click in my mind. What if I play queen h6? Because after queen h6, the line goes forced. He has to take it, then we give a check. If king h5 happens, then rook h6 and it's mate. And king g7, bishop h6 and king g8, rook f8 is a beautiful, very beautiful mate on the board. So let me see. Yeah, I guess everybody is taking part to solve these puzzles as well. Hopefully it was clear. And next one I have, oh my god, what's going on? Okay, I am pawn down, but again, once again, there is a big problem of the king, because all my pieces are to the king, looking at the king. It gives me an opportunity to think about some sacrifices, just because my king on f7 is very safe. There is no checks. For example, rook h7 is not there because of bishop h7, and there is no checks, which gives me time to either sacrifice, either to play something which will be very helpful for me. What can this move be? It's not very easy, I can tell you, but what kind of move I should play and what kind of ideas should be there? My first idea, just generally speaking, is that if there is no knight on this diagonal, then queen b1 is mate. That's why knight e3 c2 was played, just because there was a big threat of mate on b1. Another idea is to play something like rook e2. What is the point? The point is that if queen e2, then bishop hangs on g5, so bishop g5, and if king goes to d1, then I can play queen b1 for sure. And if queen goes elsewhere, then a c2, knight is hanging. So I think this is the correct thinking. And knight e1, knight e3, sorry, I saw that it was possible. I had to calculate it in advance before getting to this position, because it is very important to calculate lines before you play the move, because then you cannot get it back. Now, of course, I can play queen b1, king d2 and queen h1. This is probably very enough. Maybe I have queen c2, but I don't think it's necessary, so I would just take this rook here on h1 and enjoy the extra piece. Okay, so what was this? Let me read the chat. If they cut short, there was like, there is no checks on h7 because bishop instead. Yeah, okay. Let me explain you this puzzle. So first of all, we saw that there is a big threat of queen b1 mate, and the bishop is hanging on g5. Also not understandable why knight f5 didn't happen, but queen a1 is there, and the rook is lost. So knight c2 and rook e2. This is a very common type of move, which emphasizes that the queen here is a tiny bit overloaded, I would say. It is defending the bishop on g5, and it is also helping the king to have the knight safe on c2. Also, it's not the pure example of overloading, but it is just how to say, you're getting the queen out of the way. There is no other way that after rook e2, queen has to take it, bishop g5, and once again, if king d1, then queen b1, and if knight e3, then queen b1, and we take the rook. Okay, I guess everything's clear. Let's go to the next one. And in the next position, the material balance is equal. we have, although I think that something should be here connected with rook c2 or moves like these, just because when I get this position, or when I see this position, I think that the only piece that the queen is in the center, it is defended only with the bishop. So if I take the bishop on c2, let's say rook c2, the only move is queen c2. Does it give me something or not? Probably it does, because after rook c2, queen c2, I'm searching for another checks which will make the king go away. So bishop a2, king c1, and bishop f4. How is that position? Bishop f4, then bishop e3, and on bishop e3 I can play rook c8, and I think this position is winning. So let's see, rook c2, bishop a2, bishop f4. I think bishop f4 here is important, because if I play rook c8 right away, then there is bishop c3. So once again we are telling this bishop to get away, and this is how we win the queen. So what was this puzzle about? This puzzle was that after queen e2, we saw that the queen is not perfectly standing in the center, and by taking the bishop we are forcing the white queen to take the rook back, and we're also, because it's very important, queen f5 is not there because of bishop f5, and the rook is defended on c2. King c2 also not possible, because the queen is hanging on e4, and after queen c2 another move which is getting the king away, because king a2 loses the queen on c2. King c1, and once again a very important move, bishop f4, to get this bishop on h6 c1 diagonal, not because it's very much pretty on d4, just on if we want to play rook c8, and if we played rook c8 there would be bishop c3. That's why bishop f4 first, and after bishop e3 then bishop e3, f takes e3, or rook c8, or directly rook c8 is possible as well. Okay, I think that that's clear. Let's go to another one. This is the position which directly gives me ideas of some kind of bishop f6 or bishop h6, now queen h5. Just I see these two guys standing next to each other, and right away comes this type of ideas to me. This is why solving a lot of puzzles helps us to get the ideas, and then we can calculate the ideas. For example, I saw many positions with knight f5 and bishop g5. Either knight g7 is happening to sacrifice and get the king side position destroyed, either bishop f6 is happening, or bishop h6. Just a lot of moves are coming to my mind, and I don't even pay attention what's going on queen side, because obviously my bishop is hanging on c4, the material is equal, and the only advantage I see here for white is that there is white pieces very much into the king side, and some kind of sacrifices are possible with the mating net ideas. I don't know exactly which one is working, so I would start calculating from bishop f6, another one is knight g7, and what more? I guess that's it, more or less. Let's see. If I play bishop f6, is there anything I can get or not? Because bishop f6, if simple g f6 happens, then I don't think I am in time to get anything special. What about knight g7? This move is very interesting for me because after knight g7, king g7 is not possible, obviously, because of bishop f6, king g8, and something like queen h5 should win. The rook has to go to e8 and then queen h6, bishop f8 to defend the mate on g7, and then queen g5. Bishop g7 and queen g7 mate, which means that after knight g7 there is a very annoying bishop c4, but bishop c4, maybe then I can play bishop f6, sacrificing the queen on e2, so bishop e2, and then mating idea, knight f5, king g8, and knight h6. I think this is satisfactory for me, this idea, so I would definitely take it here, bishop c4, and play bishop f6. Bishop e7 only move because a very, a very big threat was knight f5 and knight h6, and in this one I think I can even play something like queen f2 or queen h5 is not satisfactory. Queen f3 is possible. I think queen f3 or queen f2 is quite obvious in the sense that if bishop f6 happens, then queen f6, and if bishop f1, there is knight e7, queen e6, queen g7 mate. So I would definitely go for queen f2 or queen f3. Yeah. Knight d7, it's just rook d7 probably. Okay, so what was this puzzle about? I see that in chat we have to consider bishop c4, you guys are writing, and that's completely correct. Just with these ideas, knight g7, it is very common to give a lot of material, doesn't matter, queen, bishop, rook, whatever, because this mating net of bishop c4 and bishop f6 is super dangerous, very dangerous for black. And the mate is obvious because after knight f5, knight h6, there is nothing that can help black. So bishop e7 was the only move, just because king, let's say g8 wouldn't be any good because of queen g4, and black is anyway lost. And bishop e7, we shouldn't panic if there is no mate right away, just a normal defending move. Defending, I say, just because we need something which would give check on the h8 a1 diagonal, either it's bishop or it's the queen. So after queen f3, bishop f6, queen f6, and knight d7, we just take this knight and then we give a mate on g7, because after queen d7 we don't win the queen, but we don't need the queen. We just go knight e6 and queen g7. That was clear. Let's get to another one and let me see if you guys are also solving the tactics. That's very good. Any questions you have about this solving or how to deal with complicated positions or tactics, just feel free to ask. In any case, soon we will have, like after 15 minutes, I always leave you the time to think what is the question you want to know, and what What is it that you're interested in? So you have an opportunity to ask me the questions. Feel free to ask, and last 15 minutes I promise I'll take my time and I will look at all of your questions, and I will try to answer all of them. Okay, now we have another position, and this is two rooks, queens on the board, but we are pawn down. Yes, we are pawn down, but black king is very much exposed, and once again we have ideas of mate. But I think that the queen on e7 is quite overloaded. Again, I might use this term overloaded not in a correct way, because it only protects the rook on f8, but it is very important, this rook, to be protected on f8. I like that the rooks on f-file are doubled, because if I play rook e6, let's say, which comes first to my mind, f6 is not possible because rook f8 is there, queen e6 is not possible because queen f8 is there, and after rook e6, queen would have big trouble to defend the f8 rook. So after rook e6, queen d8 is a possibility, of course. And what did we get? Did we get anything that that is important? Maybe not, because maybe rook e6 is just an empty move. Maybe rook g6 is much more dangerous for black, because after rook g6 we again have the idea of f takes g6, rook f8. H takes g6 is not possible because it is pinned, and after rook g6 you have to deal with the g7 square and g7 mate. Rook g8 is the only move, I think. Oh, but wait a minute, maybe it is both maybe is possible, because if I play rook g6, rook g8, f7 pawn is not hanging. So rook e6, queen d8, that's the only move. Now rook g6, and rook g8 will be met with rook f7, if it's correct. Rook f7, rook d1, king h2, queen c7 is not there, queen d6 is not there, queen b8 can be played, but queen b8 I can even play... What can I play on queen b8? I can even play g3, I think. Rook d2, king g1, rook d1, king f2. I think that's correct. I think first rook e6 is correct, and not rook g6, because rook g6, rook g8, I don't see anything. So I would play here first rook e6, and that was unexpected answer, rook d6. Obviously I had to look at it, but what to look at it? I mean, I can take this guy here, just... Yeah. Pity we just got this line, because I think that rook e6, if I don't miss anything after queen d8, let's see. I think it would be good to analyze this puzzle, so I will show you how to use the analyze button. So I would go here to analyze the puzzle, and yeah, here, that's the position. And I think that after queen e7, rook e6, queen d8, we should have mate after rook g6. This is the line which I calculated. Rook f7, rook d1, king h2, queen b8, because there are no other checks, g3, rook d2. I don't want to take this rook, obviously, but I would just play here. Rook d1, I would play f2, maybe e3, another check here, rook d2, and I would just play king e1, and this is obviously lost already because there is a mate on h7. I think that's a beautiful one. There are options of rook g6 directly. Attorney Lola Pieza is saying that. But I think the problem of rook g6 is that after rook g8, the pawn on f7 is not hanging, so we don't have anything. And this is very nice. I find it very beautiful to use the fact that first we are kicking this queen out because f takes e6 is not possible, rook f8 is there. Queen e6 is not possible because there is queen f8 mate, and we are using the fact that we kick out this queen from defending the f7 pawn, which yet does not seem very important. I mean, in this position to defend this f7 pawn, it doesn't seem that important, but after rook e6, queen d8 and rook g6, this is a very beautiful puzzle using the fact that yes, first we need to do this, then we need to do that. It is very important not to mix up the move orders. If you mix up the move orders here, play first rook g6, then we don't have anything. But first rook e6, then rook g6, we are winning. And we are winning very beautiful because rook g8, and now the main point of this puzzle is that f7 pawn is hanging, and if it's lost and our rook gets to f7, then queen h7 is unavoidable. For example, rook g6 is just queen h7 mate. I tried giving all the checks like rook d1, king h2, queen b8 because there is no other check, just simple g3. Don't be afraid of rook d2 and many checks because we just go to e1 and then there is no check. I mean, if you go, let's say rook d1, I can take here, and just be careful that after queen d8 you don't go maybe even possible to go king e8, king e1, but I don't think so because after queen d2, queen f8, king f1, there is no mate on f2, but definitely this is going to be very, very bad for white. So just be careful that after rook d1, you don't go queen d8, you don't go king to e1, but just let's enjoy the extra rook, play rook d6, everything is protected, and we still keep the big threat of queen h7. Okay, I think Pramad is saying that this sort of tactic happened in the game Leko versus Svidler in the blindfold game. Yes, that's exactly the point, that when you see lots of games, when you see lots of tactics, you remember that, oh my god, this resembles to the game which I saw in a blindfold game or which I saw years ago. So always think that whatever you're doing in chess is beneficial for your chess and is helping you to improve, even if you're just sitting and following the tournaments, only the tournaments, and following the commentary. It's just very beneficial because you are into the games, you see the ideas, you see the motives, and then when you get such kind of positions, you kind of remember the ideas. For example, if you had it in your game, you would be able to find it just because you've seen it before. And it might be like, yeah, you don't remember anything you saw like yesterday, any games, but it's in the back of your head, so it's definitely going to be useful. Okay, Let's get back to the tactics. Meanwhile, if you have some questions, make sure that you are going to ask those questions, because I'm usually leaving the last 15 or 10 minutes to answer your questions. I'm taking the time to see what you guys are interested in and how can I help you. Okay, now we have the next question, the next puzzle, and the next puzzle is this one. The material is equal, but once again there is a big problem to the black's king, because black doesn't have the opponent of this bishop on d4, so black doesn't have dark squared bishop, and the main point is that he has a big weakness, g6, which weakens all this diagonal, a1 h8 diagonal, and the f6 square is super weak. And what more can I say is that queen g5 was the last move to defend the e5 knight, which gives me an idea that maybe I can use the bad position of the queen. And with the bad position, I just mean that, for example, if I play h4, the queen should go to h5, because otherwise he cannot defend the e5 knight. So h4 is a very obvious move that comes to mind. h4, queen h5, and let's say queen f6. This looks nice. This looks very nice. Bishop should go probably to c4, and on bishop c4 maybe we could play g4, and there would be a problem, because let's say we play g4, queen g4, bishop e5, rook e5, queen e5, and bishop c f1, rook f1 is just an extra bishop for the white pieces. Do you guys agree? Yeah, Pramod is saying that h4 is also his move. So I will go h4. Queen f5. Queen f5 is, of course, possible. I didn't even think it was kind of a move, because I think that I can just go with the queen somewhere, somewhere like queen, I don't know, e1 looks nice. And then I can take the knight on e5, and bishop d3 was, knight d3 was played, but after knight d3 there should be mate. Queen d2, queen h6 is there, queen d2, queen b5, queen h6 is possible, I think. Let's see, queen d2, queen b5, and maybe a4 here, because if I play queen h6 directly, then knight e5 is there. I would play a4 first, queen a6, and now I would play queen h6, because there is no knight e5. Beautiful, beautiful puzzle. Malta is saying that maybe rook a e1, knight c6, bishop f6 could get nice. But I think that after queen g5, this is very forced. If you see the forced line, you should definitely go for it. After rook a e1, which is of course a possibility, I don't like that there is bishop c4, for instance. But we have all moves by force, and the beauty of this puzzle is in the intermediate moves. So you get the last point, you get the you see the mating net. You see that the idea is to mate your opponent, and when you're playing and when he's answering you with a quite tough defense, you always think that how to avoid his defense, and that's very beautiful, I think. h4, queen f5. My line was queen h5, and let me once again show you guys, and let me once again put the analyze puzzle and put this on the board. So queen g5, h4, and queen h5. This is also a defense of the knight on e5, and queen f6. So the queen f6, what it is doing, you cannot go knight g4 because there is mate on g7, and generally this battery of bishop and queen is very dangerous for black because then all pieces are pinned. My idea was to go bishop c4, but after bishop c4 I can even go rook fe1 and not rook ae1, and everything is pinned. There is no chance for white now to do something because yeah, it's lost. I think that I offered g4, which is also winning, and after queen g4, bishop e5, it's a mate, so rook e5 should happen, rook e5, and queen f1, rook f1, and we do have an extra piece, but black is taking too many pawns. I don't like it, although it's still very much winning, but queen f6, the simplest is that after bishop c4 we just go rook fe1 and the knight is lost. All right, h4, queen f5. That was quite a tough defense, and possible is also to go queen e2 instead of queen e1, but queen e1 is also winning. Bishop c4 and rook f5. Why this line? Because after queen e2 there is no knight d3 with tempo, so there is double attack. The knight is hanging on e5 and the queen is hanging on f5 as well. Bishop c4 is the only way, and after bishop c4 we just take f5 queen, using the fact that the knight on e5 is still hanging. So when you take the queen on e2, then we take the knight on e5, rook e5, bishop e5, and we have the extra piece. Although queen e2 was quite simple one, I think queen e1 is more beautiful because we are using the facts that with this type of intermediate moves we are able to mate our opponent. Knight d3, very tempting to go knight d3 because it's with tempo and you're going out of attack. Knight b3, queen d2, very important to go queen d2 and not queen d1, because after queen d2 we are looking at this very scary h6 square. And queen b5, a4, queen a6 and queen h6. Why a4? Because we wanted to go queen h6 directly, but then knight e5 would be there. It's still winning, I think, because we can play an a4, a4 right now, and on queen a5 we can play b4, and on queen c7 we can play, I don't know, something like maybe queen f4, and this is completely winning because if you're gonna defend it, then we will play rook fe1 and the knight is lost anyway. Or maybe computer is saying that it's better to play rook, yeah, he's saying that it's good to play rook fe1, f6, queen f6, and still white is winning. Although it's much simple to play a4 first, kick this queen out of the 5th rank, and then play queen h6 when black doesn't have any defense of the g7 square and g7 mate. f6, bishop f6 can be played, rook e7 to defend, but then the rook is lost on e7. I should admit that this is very beautiful and this is very instructive, but queen e2 of course is much more simple because you just calculate that bishop c4 is not the big threat just because the e5 knight is hanging. Okay, let's get back to the tactics, and after this tactic I'm gonna take a look at the chat once again, and I'm gonna read if you have any questions. Any questions are welcome. If you have don't be shy. If you have any questions, feel free, and I'll be there to answer your questions. Okay, now we get the next tactic, and whoa, we are having peace down. But okay, this is a bit yeah, it's, I don't like such puzzles, because you have to know that long castle is possible. I mean, yeah, rook b7, long castle, and we are threatening the rook to b7, and rook d1 mate as well. Okay, this is clear. Let's get to another one, and queen c7 was the last move. Queen c7. How can we punish this move? Okay, what I see in this position is back rank. Black's back rank might be a big problem, because there is no window for the king to escape, which means that I'm thinking of rook c2, queen c2, queen b8 mate, and if rook c2 something else, then rook c8 is winning. So I think that rook c2 and rook c8, rook e8 and queen c7 should win this game. Yeah. Yeah, James is saying that the last puzzle of Long Castle was rather simple puzzle. Yeah, it was simple, but I like very instructive puzzles. For example, this one, Queen c7, and you have to see that it looks like a logical move for the first side, because you're getting out of the pin and you want to exchange the queens, and that's not so bad to exchange the queens. But the problem to see that rook c2 is there, with the idea that if you take queen c2 and queen b5, queen b8, sorry, queen b8 is mate, is a great feeling. Queen d7, rook c8 and rook e8, the only defense that black has, and such thing might happen that on queen c7 you see rook c2 is possible, but you think that, oh, I have this defense of back rank with queen d7, rook c8 and rook e8, and it happens very, very often that you or your opponent is quitting, I mean is stopping, stops at that point and just thinks that this is fine. But I think I'm telling you every show that you have to be able to calculate one more move. Whenever you calculate something and you're about to move, when it's critical position and you're about to make a move, it is very important to once again calculate your line and add one more move. That will save you lots of points. Pramod is saying that there's a famous game known as Dance of Queens, with every move aiming opponent's back rank. That is true. Once again, you are showing that you've seen quite a lot of puzzles, and you are now comparing the puzzles with each other. there is the game. It's very pity that I don't remember the names, but it's very famous ones. It is with queen a4, b5, queen b5, and every time you're chasing the queen because the rook is hanging on e8, and that's really very beautiful. I think that there was some queen e4, queen b5, a4 first, so I think we're talking about the same game. Okay, next one. Next one is queen e7 was last move, black's last move, and how can we use it? What is it? What is it, the problem for black here? The material is equal, although white's pieces are much more active. And what can it be? Black king and this d5 bishop might be not that great. For example, first move that comes to mind is knight a6, because we have a big threat of queen b8, and on b takes a6 I can take queen d5. You cannot take with the pawn because it's pinned by the bishop on g4, and you cannot take with the c pawn because it's pinned with the c1 rook. So I think that's correct. And yeah, this is, Pramod is saying queen d5 right away. Queen d5 I also thought, but queen e7, queen d5, c takes d5, then we don't have a good jump of the knight, so we cannot get back the queen, and there is no mate. So first we go knight a6, b takes a6 because queen b8 is there, and then queen d5. Next one is, oh my god, we don't have the rook, but the queen is hanging on c8. What's going on? Rook b1 was a black's last move with the idea of rook f1 check. Okay, let's see if we can use it, or how can we use it. What's going on? We should definitely have here some kind of either check or allow maybe bishop c8 or move like this. What about f8 knight? Because if we take the queen on c8, then we stop defending the f1 square, and rook f1 is possible. This is why we cannot move our queen, let's say queen e7 or wherever, because queen c2 is huge threat. I would consider playing f8 knight because I'd like to give a check. If king g8, then I cannot take on g6. That's pity. But I can give bishop e6 check. Queen e6, king f8, and I just want the queen. I think f8 knight is possible because queen f8 would mean that after queen f8 there is no rook f1 check because our bishop is still on h3. So here I wanted to play bishop e6, queen e6, and the game is over. We just won the queen. So what was the idea of this puzzle was that after rook b1, black wanted to be smart and play for rook f1 trick, but we have f8 knight. It's very important to have the knight and not, let's say, queen, because then we would allow very nasty queen c2. Probably mate will follow very soon. And after f8 knight, if queen f8, then queen f8 and rook f1 is not possible because our bishop is still on h3. And king g8, the only move after queen f8, then bishop e6, queen e6, king f8, and we have the extra piece. Pramad is saying that lucky there's no auto promotion to the queen in the tactics. That's very important. True. Okay, we will have the last puzzle right now, and this is going to be our last puzzle for the show. And let's see. The material is, we have 2 pawns for the piece, so obviously black sacrificed something on c3 and played queen c3, and white's last move was knight b3. Knight b3, what about bishop b3? Bishop b3, a b3, queen a1, bishop b1. This looks so bad for for white. But is it that easy? That's the question. Definitely we should calculate bishop b3. A b3, queen a1, because I don't want to allow king b1. Bishop b1, and now we have many candidates. We have rook c8, queen a3 candidate. I would like to play queen a3, because then rook b2, I would play rook c8. Oh, this is this is something very funny. Look, bishop b3, a b3, queen a1, bishop b1, queen a3. Very important, because if we play first rook c8, rook c2, and then queen a3, then king d2 is an escape for white, because queen b4, just king c1. Okay, so bishop b3, ab, queen a1, bishop b1, queen a3, rook b2, because if king c2, rook c8, king d3, rook b, queen b3, this does not even need to be calculated. Beautiful. It would be beautiful mate after king d4 and e5. Once again, bishop b3, a b3, queen a1, rook, bishop b1, rook, no, not rook c8, queen a3, rook b2, now rook c8, with the idea that if you go king d2, then rook is hanging on b2. And if you go bishop c2, which I think you have to go, queen a1, rook b1, and what did I get? Did I get something or not? I don't know, it seems tough. Yaman is saying check queen a3 again. Queen a3, everybody is saying queen a3. But how to check queen a3 once again? Okay, we go. Let's go through it together. Bishop b3, a b3, queen a1. I think that's the forced moves. I'm starting from the beginning. Bishop b3, a b3, queen a1, bishop b1, queen a3, rook b2. I see only rook c8, bishop c2, and if queen a1, rook b1. This is what I don't like. But maybe I have rook c2, although queen c2 is there. If I go queen a3 back, then rook b2. Okay, so Kramnik student is saying that we have rook c2 after rook b2, but that's, so he's saying bishop b3, ab, queen a1, bishop b1, queen a3, rook b2, rook c8, bishop c2, and rook c2. But rook c2 I don't like because there is king c2, and on rook c8 there is king b1, and we definitely cannot do anything. Ranshai is asking me which opening you recommend me to learn next, Grunwald, Queen's Indian or Sicilian. Which variations? Thanks. I have Beersheba Championship in the next couple days. By the way, I loving closed positions and aggressive. Well, let me answer your question. I think that Grunwald and Sicilian are very aggressive openings, and you can see the games of Mr. MVL, Maxime Vachier-Lagrave. He has a very stubborn opening choices. He has Grunwald as black and Najdorf as black against e4 and d4. He is playing Grunwald. So I think that if you like aggressive play, then you should definitely look at his games and start Najdorf and Grunwald. Start looking at Najdorf and Grunwald. Good luck into your next tournament. And the guys are saying that rook c8 first is the move. Why I don't like rook c8 first is that king b1 is there, and then we are out of threats. I would still go maybe we should just make a draw with bishop b3, a b3, queen a1, rook b1, bishop b1, rook c8, rook c2, and queen a3. And if king d2, just queen b4, king c1, and maybe queen b3. Maybe that's possible. Yeah, I think I would take here, and I would give a check on c8, and I would give a check on a3. No, pity. Why don't we take rook c2, by the way? Oh my god, you kidding me? It's just you, rook c2, queen c2 and rook c8. I saw this in the back of my mind, and I was like, but it shouldn't be possible. Is it possible? And of course it's possible. It's just very easy. Rook c8, rook c2, queen c2, and rook c8. We're winning the queen. Pity. Pity I didn't get the last puzzle, but it ruined my day. It ruined my day that I didn't get this rook c2 and rook c8. It's very pity, but it's okay. I'm gonna work, I'm gonna go on, and I'm gonna move forward by solving the puzzles, playing a lot on Chess24, and we will see you, of course, next week with the Banter Blitz. And remember that I gave you a choice that you would choose for me the openings. I already have some notes that you guys want me to play some kind of King's Gambit and Benko, and I have no ideas about that, but it would be fun. It would be fun to play new openings. It would be fun watching me having no idea, and I think that we will gonna have fun and learn lots of things. Okay, for now, have a great day and see you next week. Thanks for being at the show, and see you. Bye bye.